Welcome back. We are continuing with White Lies, How the South Lost the Civil War, then Rewrote the History by Ann Bausum. We will be exploring lie number 3. The Civil War wasn't fought over slavery. It was all about states' rights. After the Civil War, despite the overwhelming evidence to the contrary, advocates for the lost cause began to claim that the war had nothing to do with slavery. Such assertions ignored the fact that the preservations of slavery had been a key topic during debate about secession. Most of the South's wealthiest and most influential whites were enslavers. Many felt threatened by Lincoln's election and his opposition to the spread of slavery in new U.S. territories and states. Before the war began, countless white Southerners had spoken out repeatedly in support of both slavery and secession. They believed they could only preserve the one by undertaking the other. White leaders had also claimed that the 10th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, with its language about certain rights about being reserved to the states, meant that states could ignore federal policies when they disagreed with them. Furthermore, they maintained that one of the rights the Constitution had granted them was the right to secede or withdraw from the Union of States at any time. This so-called states' rights claim was shaking even then. In fact, the U.S. Supreme Court, including justices from the South, had consistently ruled exactly the opposite in the decades that preceded the Civil War. States had neither the right to ignore federal laws nor the right to leave the Union of States, the court said. But after the war was over, many former Confederates claimed the opposite. They repeated the states' rights argument so tirelessly that it became accepted as fact. Thus, when considering the history behind the war, it became possible to insist the Confederates had been fighting to defend the U.S. Constitution and its 10th Amendment, not slavery. Fighting to protect the Constitution sounded more honorable than fighting to maintain the practice of slavery, and the lie took hold. After the war, those who had advocated for secession emphasized this point. Confederates hadn't been rebels at all, they said. They had been patriots fighting to save the principles of the Constitution. Omitted from the line of logic is the obvious point that the right Southern states most wanted to protect was the right to enslave other people. Even a secessionist claimed to have been defending the U.S. Constitution. What they were really defending was the right to be enslavers. The states' rights argument had proved useful in other cases of conflict with the federal government, too. During the Jim Crow era that followed Reconstruction, it was easy to apply states' rights to logic to the issue of voting. White leaders in the South could insist that states had the right to set their own rules about the process, even if those local laws conflicted with the 15th Amendment, which guaranteed black men the vote. Using this logic, they enacted restrictive voting laws that survived virtually unchecked until the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Southern white leaders revived the states' rights argument after the 1954 Supreme Court ruling of Brown v. Board of Education ordered the integration of the nation's public schools. The states' rights defense continues to pop up when regional governments try to avoid following federal policies. Americans are still being misled about basic facts of U.S. history because of the states' rights lie. Surveys and political polls taken between 2011 and 2019 showed that large percentages of Americans believe that the Civil War was fought over the issue of states' rights, not slavery. White Southerners and conservatives were most likely to believe this misrepresentation of history, but so did a significant number of Black Americans. Such results illustrate the extent to which lies can corrupt a nation's understanding of its past and how the passage of time can make it increasingly difficult to correct them. They simply turn from lies into, quote, truths. That was lie number 3. The Civil War wasn't fought over slavery. It was all about states' rights.